Hi, how are you today? The improved package has arrived. We're having it fitted in time for FP1. Have a look at the factory report.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here. Welcome back to my F1 2016 career mode, episode number 5 today for season 2 at the Spanish Grand Prix. As you can see, our R&D engineer has given us our new report for our new fitted part. We added one more downforce upgrade at the end of the Russian Grand Prix. If you have missed that episode, do go check it out. Obviously, I'm uploading these episodes a little bit less, so it really does count if you haven't seen the episode. If you have missed one, if you missed the previous one, do go check that out before checking this one out. So that was the Russian Grand Prix. If you did watch it, I'm going to say it now. Obviously, we struggled quite a bit at Russia. A lot of you guys actually caught on that my engineer at some point told me about engine wear, so that was a good spot by some of you guys, so maybe that was the reason why, and hopefully we can put that past us at the Spanish Grand Prix with this new downforce upgrade and do quite well here at Spain. Hopefully, you know, with four upgrades of downforce, you would like to think that at a kind of downforce heavy circuit, very mechanically, orientated circuit, you know, the car has to do a lot of the work here at Spain, that our car should be able to go well, because generally you see a lot of the time in Spain, teams lining 2x2, because it is really such a track that's oriented by your car and less about the driver. But during practice, we did the practice programs as per usual to keep upgrading the car, because we're not the fastest team yet in the kind of comparison chart, and that's the goal. As much as we need to also focus on results, I also want to try and make sure our car is actually the fastest car by the end of the season. If we are trying to challenge for the championship, that should be one of the objectives. So I keep doing the practice programs, try and get the best points we can, and we did pretty smoothly there at Spain. So we go into qualifying now, starting my first flying lap. Now again, like Russia and a few times this season actually, I did kind of this thing where I do one flying lap, which is not necessarily very, very fast. I just get a grip with the circuit, because although I do the practice programs don't really give you a good sense of your pace around the circuit, don't give you a kind of good flying lap indicator. Even though you do the qualifying one, that's still not enough for me. You need to get on the conditions, in the session, kind of feel around for the circuit. So I've been doing that a lot this season, where I do one flying lap, not necessarily the fastest one I've ever done, and then I'll do a second one, which is a lot faster, and that gets me up into my actual position here. That's exactly the same case here at Spain. So we come across the line through the final corner, right behind Felipe Massa, get a bit of a tow on my second flying lap. We're in P16 at the moment. We come across the line, and it's only P9. It's only P9 here at the Spanish Grand Prix, and by the time we end the session out, it's actually going to be P10. We are going to be starting this Grand Prix in P10, and can we just have a look and pause for a minute at who is on pole position? Daniel Kvyat is on pole position. What on earth has gone on here? If you look at his lap time, that's just a bit too legitimate, isn't it? That's just a bit too there. That's a very, very quick pole position time. My teammate does excellent to get second place. Jensen, get in there. Front row start for him. So we have been well and truly trounced by our teammate. I'm just not fast enough in qualifying compared to my teammate, but there's been definitely a bit of a glitch there, Codemasters, on Daniel Kvyat's pole lap time, because that is not a Spanish that is not the Spanish Grand Prix. I don't know if he's done an oval track or something, but yeah, that's just not on. But he's on pole position, and I couldn't do much about it. And to be fair, I didn't want to restart it, because that's what happened. That's what happened in my career mode, and that's the whole point of this series. It's a vanilla career mode. I show you guys exactly what happens in my career mode. There's no kind of fiddling about with it. Daniel Kvyat got pole position, albeit through a glitch. It's going to be a bit of a crazy Grand Prix ahead, I think, with him in pole position and our teammate in second place. I'm looking forward to it. We have work to do, because we're clearly not on pace right now, on one lap pace. Hopefully we can better on heavier fuel, but we're in P10, so plenty of work to do here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Let's go to the grid. Let's see what we can do. So as per usual, let's take a look at the race strategy ahead of the formation lap. You can see it's going to be a 2-stop today with the soft tyres, obviously, that we qualified on. Then we're going to go to a medium set. Now, it was a bit of a debate for me at the beginning of this race whether I go on to the hard tyres then, as my engineers were indicating, or use the personalised strategy and then go into a second set of medium tyres. Apparently, we can go on them. Looking back at last season, the hard tyres were actually a really decent tyre. They didn't feel too bad. You know, usually in past Codemasters games, there's been some stigma with the hard tyre. It's usually not a very nice tyre to actually be on. Doesn't feel very nice, doesn't rubber in very well. But I remember from last season that it was pretty damn decent on the Mclaren at least. So, a bit of a debate there. In the end, I chose for the 2 medium tyres, but we can always default to the hard tyre if we feel like we can't go the distance on that medium tyre set. Obviously, we get one entire stint after our first pit stop to kind of test that out. But we're here down in 10th place, a very weird, unusual place for me to be compared to where we have been so far this season. But we'll just have to try our best and try and do the work. I think the AI won't be as fast as they were in qualifying during the race, thankfully for us, so we can maybe try and get some good solid points, join Jensen up ahead of us. But of course we have Kvyat on pole position, so I'm hoping that he can actually act as a bit of a kind of bottleneck at the very top, and also Jensen perhaps as well, and we can see what we can do at the very start. And if he holds the entire pack up, we could be pretty good here. So we go to 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix. Daniel Kvyat on pole position, 5 red lights are out and we're underway. We've got a pretty good getaway as we overtake Grosjean off the line. Raikkonen darting around to the left hand side of Hamilton, who's got a poor exit off his start mark, and Vettel on the left hand side, maybe trying to go around the outside of all of them. I dive down into turn 1, really aggressive right behind Hamilton's rear end, and Kimi gets very close, gets a tap from Hamilton. That sets him a little bit wayward, and we go right down the inside of him into turn 3, and we swoop round, squeeze out Vettel, and we're up into P7 there. So Raikkonen having a bit of contact with Hamilton really did help us out, but there's been yellow flags there. I think there's been a bit of a contact made. Yes, we've got cars out, Felipe Massa out, Marcus Ericsson out of this Grand Prix. Safety car has been called out on the very first lap of the Spanish Grand Prix, so that was a very hectic start for the cars behind us, and that has meant now the race is neutralised for a safety car there. And so we move on to the end of lap 1. It's going to be interesting to see if anyone comes into the pits here. I think one car's gone in there, you can see on the right, but then all of us, pretty much the top cars, stay out for now. So I believe it might be, let's see who it is. I think it's Rosberg. Rosberg's in the pits. I was going to say it might have been Kvyat, maybe trying something different, you know, from the front, going for a pit stop on the safety car, but it's Rosberg. So let's see what happened in the replay. Maybe Rosberg was involved somehow, or maybe just kind of broke a bit of front wing as the safety got called out. So this is Grosjean. We overtook him obviously off the line. This is us going down the inside of Raikkonen and Vettel there. We squeeze Vettel out. Vettel going very slowly. Oh, and Grosjean gets caught up by Vettel, and then he, oh god, a lot of contact there. Oh my god, 3 points of contact made there, and then Massa gets collected by Ericsson, but yeah, just making all the noises there during the commentary as Grosjean got hit 3 different times by 3 different cars, and this was Massa coming through. Here comes Grosjean, bang, there you go. Massa gets flung around. There's the contact, who completely breaks off 2 of his tyres there. The wheel tether's helping out, but this is Marcus Ericsson coming through, collected by Massa, loses his wheel on the inside wall, where obviously infamously Rosberg and Hamilton had their bit of contact there on the grass there on the left hand side of your screen in the real life Spanish Grand Prix. But that's Massa and Ericsson out the Grand Prix. That's why the safety car was called out. So I'm not too sure actually what happened to Rosberg. We didn't get any kind of looking at what happened to him. Maybe he just went for an early pit stop, to be honest, and actually I think that might be the case, because on to lap 3 now, the 3rd lap of the safety car, I actually come in now for a pit stop, because after 2 laps under the safety car, I thought, okay, I think it might be worth to come in at this point. It wasn't worth to come in on lap 1, I didn't think, to me, you know, like Rosberg did, because it wouldn't have made any sense. But the fact that the safety car is staying out for what will be now 3 laps, which is quite a long time actually, quite surprised it's staying out for this long, but because it's staying out for that long, and we would have come into the pits around lap 5, lap 6 for our first pit stop anyway, I feel like it is worth it enough to come in now on lap 3, about 2 laps-ish at a push before our actual pit stop would have been for this set of medium tyres. So now I think it's worth it. In hindsight, obviously, if we knew the safety car was going to stay out this long, I would have hit with Rosberg on lap 1. But we haven't lost too much time. We're here in 19th place, just ahead of Verline, right behind Grosjean, who also seemingly has made a pit stop, obviously, after his bit of contact there. So we started off with Grosjean next to us, ahead of us at the start of the Grand Prix, and now we're going to continue on with it on lap 4 with him, where we both make our pit stop there. But crucially now, we get onto the green flag. It's a very awkward green flag, actually, as we get underway after the safety car comes in through the middle of the chicane. I had to try and catch up to Grosjean. Wasn't possible there. The AI have some really good traction off that final corner, unfortunately, so we haven't been able to actually capitalise on the safety car restart, but we haven't lost too much time there. And crucially, obviously, we've got one kind of effective free pit stop above anyone else that's going for this 2-stop. I think there might be some AI cars that might try in a very audacious 1-stop here today. We'll have to see how that goes, but we're right behind Grosjean now, who's behind Harry Anto, and then it's Nico Rosberg there. Now, this is the point in the Grand Prix where things got a little bit weird for me, and I really didn't know what was going on, and I was just basically driving around seeing how it went, essentially. So in this next phase of the Grand Prix, you can see Rosberg's just ahead, 2 places ahead. He's actually going to get overtaken by Harry Anto in a bit, and it was a very weird part of the Grand Prix phase, because I tried to go for a move here on Romain Grosjean, go down the inside, we go side by side with him, tried to go around the outside. He gives us the room, to be fair to him, and at this point I thought I could maybe just swing it around and we'll get in the place and we'll, you know, overtake him, and that'll be it. But Grosjean comes back at us, gets some good traction off that corner, and he's able to keep ahead of us, and on to the next lap, lap 6. As we move on into turn 1, you can see there Nico Rosberg having some huge issues with the Manor and the Manor is able to overtake him. Rio Harry Anto has just overtaken Nico Rosberg in a Mercedes car. I didn't think I'd ever be saying that. And I go down the inside of Romain Grosjean here. We go side by side. To be fair, he does brilliantly to stick it around the outside. But at this point, I didn't really think he had the pace for it. Honestly, didn't think the Haas car would be able to keep up in a fight between me, with me and my upgraded McLaren Honda. We go side by side with Grosjean. I actually do a bit of a switchback move here. Go down the inside of him now into the chicane once more. Again, going side by side. He does brilliantly again to keep it side by side. Down the inside of the right-hander. I just about get it here around the outside, but then Grosjean gets a great exit and is able to come back at me with some slipstream, goes down the inside of me to this next corner into sector 3 and re-overtakes me for what will be 15th place. So I'm squabbling with a Haas car of Grosjean, Rosberg's squabbling with a Manor car of Harry Anto for 15th and 14th and 13th place. I didn't think I was ever going to be saying that in this Grand Prix, and I really didn't know if I was actually being able to overtake these guys, because it seems like me and Rosberg just don't have the pace. The top cars seemingly just, for some reason, for a few laps, just didn't have any pace. Eventually, though, I got my grit together, overtook Grosjean down the inside of turn 3. Nice swooping move there. Rosberg overtook Sergio Perez, who's been overtaken by Rosberg and Harry Anto there. And now we go down the inside of Perez. Nice little move there. Actually kept it in the higher gears, then slowly went down the gears down the inside of him, and we're up into what will be now 10th place, as some people have made their pit stops. And now on to lap 9. The safety car is called out yet again. So our second safety car in this race. A rather hectic Grand Prix. Very, very crazy one. You know, we had 2 safety cars now. Me and Rosberg unable to seemingly overtake these slow, in inverted commas, slow cars in this Grand Prix. A very, very weird one here at the Spanish Grand Prix today. And honestly, right now I'm scratching my head. You guys might be scratching your heads in the cockpit at the time of me driving this car. I was completely confused. I just kept my head down, just kept on going, and basically prayed and crossed my fingers that eventually everything would play out, and that really I'm maybe just trying to think a bit too much about everything, and maybe it'll just all pan out and I'll end up, around where I want to be, which is around the top 5, hopefully, a knock on wood. But yeah, just very weird Grand Prix here. A lot of people come into the pit, so immediately me and Rosberg will gain a few positions. So although we had some issues trying to overtake some slow cars earlier on the Grand Prix, now we're going to benefit from this safety car period, and we'll come out ahead of quite a few cars here, up into P7 now. Remember, we don't have to make a pit stop yet. We can make that later on for our final pit stop. But this is what happened to Danica Fiat earlier on the Grand Prix. So this was why the safety car got called out for this and another issue I think you're about to see. This is Fiat's issue. He gets tagged by the Red Bull car, breaks his wheel tether very, very quickly there, and that's rather unfortunate. The pole sitter, the race leader for a lot of this Grand Prix, obviously by this point in the Grand Prix he's fallen down the order. Obviously he's not going to have the pace to actually keep up with any of these cars around him, but really unfortunate way to end his Grand Prix. The Red Bull car slams his wheel off there. So at the Grand Prix where he saw in real life his counterpart Max Verstappen replacing him and winning a Grand Prix, in the game, in the career mode here, he's punted off by a Red Bull. I think it might have been Verstappen. If it wasn't, I'll put a bet on it that it was Verstappen, but I can't be certain for sure. But this is also what happened to Sebastian Vettel, who also went out of the Grand Prix a few laps later, having an engine failure there. So those two things were why I think the safety got called out. I'm not too sure which one was which, because I think Vettel's situation was a lap later, so I'm not too sure what exactly caused the safety car, but I think it might have been one of those two cases. Anyway, that's what happened to those two. That's why they retired out the Grand Prix. Really unfortunate for Vettel. Yet again, Vettel getting some really bad luck, and it's sort of become a bit of a joke in my career modes now. Vettel just seemingly doesn't get any good luck at any point in my career mode. It's quite quite strange. It happens every career mode, different games from game to game. He just seems to have issues. But anyway, the safety car has been restarted. This lap later now. We couldn't get a jump on Rosberg on the immediate safety car restart, but a lap later, on towards lap 14, we get a good run, just slipstream, no DRS needed here. It's not activated yet, but we go down the inside of Nico Rosberg and we overtake him up into third place at the moment. So, as I said before, maybe I was just overthinking things, because now look at it. We've come out in a podium position at the moment. We're looking pretty damn good. So everything panned out. Maybe I need to just stop worrying a lot of the time. Maybe I'm just worrying too much about where we are. Because now we're out in first place here, controlling our race pretty much till the second pit stop that we have to make in this Grand Prix. Probably at this point that I'm going so long on these medium tyres, it's probably going to be for another set of mediums, I'm thinking. Because the hard tyres, it just won't be any point to have the hard tyres on so late on in the Grand Prix. So we move now a lap later onto lap 16. You can see Daniel Ricciardo now is chasing us down. He's going to get a good run off that right-hander. Hamilton's not too far behind there in third place. Rosberg's already made his pit stop now, his final pit stop of the race, but now we concentrate on Daniel Ricciardo, who's going round the outside of us for first place in the Spanish Grand Prix, still by the side-by-side through that left-hander. We keep it around the outside, get good traction here, but Ricciardo's going to squeeze us out. At this point, I brake early, do the switchback line, go really tight on the apex, get the switchback, go to the right-hand side, which will turn to the inside of this chicane, and we get it down the inside. We get back into first place, and Ricciardo there, you can see on the bottom of your screen, comes into the pits that very lap on lap 16. So he's making his final pit stop. Hamilton is going to stick with behind us in second place. Raikkonen not too far behind in third place. So at the moment, looks like Rosberg's gone for an undercut, pitting earlier than us, and we have to try and deal with now Hamilton and potentially Bottas and Raikkonen as the two Finns battle together as Bottas gets up into third place. So very, very interesting fight at the moment for seemingly the top 5 or 6 even, with so many cars in it and so many different teams in it. So here comes Hamilton out on lap 17, goes down the inside of me, the same place Ricciardo tried to go around the outside. This time Hamilton, though, crucially goes cleanly past me with some DRS, and he's up into first place, and I can't defend from him. I can't do much with him there. And on to the very next lap, on to lap 18. Now here comes Bottas, the Finn, in the Williams car, down the left-hand side. I've got DRS wide open, but he's got DRS as well in that Williams car, showing that it's very, very slippery and is set up for the straight line speed, still very much in Season 2, and Bottas is able to cleanly get past us here. But on to the very next lap, we'll keep with him, get back in the DRS. Bottas doesn't have DRS of Hamilton, crucially, so I'll be able to re-overtake him here. Hamilton sets the fast out of the Grand Prix, showing the pace he has. Look at the gap Hamilton already has to us. So we re-overtake Bottas into turn 1 on lap 19 here. At this point, we've got about 13 laps left in the Grand Prix. You can see I'm looking at my tyre wear indicator on the right-hand side. Hamilton comes into pits, and at this point, I decide I'm going to come in at the end of this lap, lap 20. We'll go 13 laps on a set of medium tyres, and that'll be good enough for us. So here we come into the pits. Hamilton's already come in. You can see a lot of cars behind us on hard tyres. We're going to come in on mediums, as I mentioned earlier on in the episode. So a bit of a contrast there to some other cars, and hopefully that'll mean we are faster than some other cars, because the medium tyre should theoretically be the faster tyre anyway. We come into the pits, and I'm very curious to see where we're going to filter out in this Grand Prix. Obviously, Rosberg made a much earlier pit stop on the hard tyres, Hamilton as well. So we're going to look on the right-hand side of your screen right now and see if they come down the order. There's Rosberg. I think that is Rosberg's car, but we can see Hamilton now coming through or down the inside of Gutierrez there into turn 1, and will just come out of the pits just ahead of Romain Grosjean and a Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo. Oh no, that's a Toro Rosso, sorry. A Toro Rosso of Sainz, I think that is. But we've got Gutierrez up in a legitimate third place at the moment, because we're all going to the end now of this Grand Prix. So Gutierrez is in a podium position at the moment in a Haas car, and Grosjean is in 5th. The American team doing wonders here at the Spanish Grand Prix, but hopefully we'll spoil the party for Grosjean, or Gutierrez, I should say, sorry, and we can try and catch up to him through the final corner on lap 22. Here we go with DRS trying to chase down the Mexican. He shouldn't have too much to defend with from us. So here we go onto the right-hand side of the circuit. DRS getting the slipstream, swoop out down the inside, and we'll get him cleanly before even the braking zone ends there into turn 1, and we're up into the podium positions, third place. Unfortunately for us, though, it's a 1-2 for Mercedes, and they're looking pretty damn good. Rosberg on hard tyres, Hamilton on medium. So Hamilton on the same tyre as me, as he only pit 1 lap earlier than me, so it makes sense. So we have made the correct tyre decision. But on to lap 33, the final lap of the Grand Prix. So a lot longer into the Grand Prix now. We cut out about 9 laps there. Unfortunately, honestly, nothing really happened. We just did our race. We can see we're still in third place. Rosberg is now in second as Hamilton overtook him. So that works out for me, because remember, Rosberg Rosberg was leading the championship, I should say. So that works out for me. That works in my favour that Hamilton's overtaken him for first place for the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix. On to the very end of lap 33, you can see Raikkonen now has overtaken both Haas cars. My tyres have really worn out here in this last phase of the Grand Prix, but thankfully for me, there's only a few more corners left to this third place across the line for the Spanish Grand Prix. Hamilton has won. Rosberg second will come across the line through the final corner. Raikkonen still right up my shaft there, but across the line will come for third place. One more lap and Raikkonen might have had us there with DRS, but we do come home for the podium, which I'm so happy with, to be honest. We're still behind both Mercedes, which is a little bit annoying, but considering we're at 10th place, we were 19th at one point, struggling for pace to overtake Grosjean and Haryanto, who was keeping ahead of us and overtook Rosberg at one point. Considering all that, I think that's a really nice deserved podium position to come back. Had some great pace in the middle part of that Grand Prix to overtake a few cars and come back at everyone, and we've got a podium from what was just inside the top 10, and all things considered, I think that's really good. Our teammates down the order, so he didn't make the most of his front row start. You've got people like Sebastian Vettel going out the race, Raikkonen right behind me. I think we did a pretty good job in what was quite a hectic Grand Prix there. Hamilton wins, Rosberg second, myself third, Raikkonen in fourth place, Grosjean there comes home in fifth. A lot of one-stoppers there as Gutierrez also comes for a high points paying position. Sainz as well, and also the Manor cars. You can see Jensen down the order, out of the points actually, so very surprising for him to be out the points from what was a front row start. And obviously Kvyat retired from that Grand Prix unfortunately, but yeah, the likes of the Manor cars, Toro Rosso's, Haas cars doing really well. So a very crazy Grand Prix, very mixed up, jumbled order, and that helps us out a little bit. We're still in third place, Rosberg in first, Hamilton second. As I mentioned, that helped us out in terms of Hamilton got more points than Rosberg there to help us out in that fight. And in constructors, we're still third place ahead of the Ferrari cars, which is awesome to see that we're still there in third ahead of a very established top team, and we're slowly coming back into this. I thought it might have been a much better Grand Prix than it was at Russia. Qualifying didn't go too well, but we turned it around in the race, and I'm happy about that. Unfortunately, we did lose the rivalry to Ricciardo. Unfortunately, that was always going to happen, I think, to be honest, because he did the job on qualifying and generally in the fast lap phase. But well, our team are still pretty happy with us. So all in all, a pretty damn awesome episode for us to get a podium there and get back to kind of podium ways after a very stressful and annoying Russian Grand Prix last time out. So guys, if you have enjoyed that video, smash the like button. I need to say thank you so much, guys, for the continued support on this series. It's been absolutely awesome. I do understand the frustrations of not being able to upload it as much as I can, but I feel like you guys completely understand that now in the comments below, and it's absolutely awesome to see that you guys are still loving it and are still so eager to keep seeing these episodes. You know, I get tweeted about it, the comments on every single video, you know, telling me about waiting for the next episode. I really am so happy that you guys are still really looking forward to this series. So thank you so much for that. Let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. If you know how to do it, then do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed the day, and I'll see you guys next time.